light the fires and kick the tires, or kick the tires and light the fires?
Let's go kick the tires and light the fires. That sounds right.
Right. Okay. Well, we're back at this again. Are you ready to start the show?
Why not?
Hey everyone, and welcome back to One Man and One Woman, the podcast. I'm one of your co-hosts, Tara Michelle.
And I am Flan, the most persecuted man on the planet.
Most what? I think we had a glitch.
Persecuted.
Most persecuted. You know what? That's the people can actually listen to ours. That you are not okay. So tonight's topic is how important is sex slash attraction? And I want to start this off. I want to move in steps with this. So there's multiple questions to this for you and or for us. But I want to start off with in an initial meeting, when you initially meet a woman that you're interested in, are you first moved by her looks, or and just in the spectrum or grand scheme of things when you've dated women and been in relationships and even been married? What is normally the way, rhyme or reason, that you end up talking to a woman?
For me, and I know, like this is one of those spaces where I'll say, I'm a unicorn. I get on you all the time, TM, for thinking that the rest of the women out there in the world are like you. So I won't do that here. I know for me, like attractiveness is going to get me to look at you and you know maybe have some thoughts regarding you. But if I'm interested in pursuing something with you, it's something personal, personality wise. I've listened to you talk. I've seen you treat people a certain way, or you and I have had conversations, or something like that. There's something about you that says I want to know more about you. And in terms of like your physical attributes, I mean, I guess the only additional information I could be looking for is seeing you naked or what it feel like. But normally I'm pursuing, trying to get to know you, and that's something based on your personality. But
How important is it that a woman that you
I might
date
be a
be
little weird.
attractive though? How important is that to you?
I mean, that's very important. I think that's. 'Cause I was having this conversation with the woman I'm in a relationship with,
Why don't you just be
and
your girlfriend?
was
Like, is
talking
that
about
is
like what
that
is
is you mature for that? Your
because
woman?
I'm 43 fucking years old. That's why I'm 43 goddamn years. Don't see, Sean. It wasn't even.
Every
I was
week with
trying
the
to be
Sean
good,
business,
and
he
then
no
people
longer
just
cares.
look, man. I'm having a conversation with my brother. Like, just relax. But what was I don't even know what I'm saying now. It's very important. Like, what's the real difference between a friend and somebody you're in a relationship with? And a lot of times it's that you having sex, and it's like if I'm not attracted to you, then that's going to be difficult, if not impossible. So we just friends. So yeah, it's very important. I don't think we can be in a relationship if that don't exist. We can be in a friendship. We can be real close.
Okay. So, in terms of being in a relationship with a person, how important on the grand scale of the relationship is sex?
I don't know. This is a difficult question for me, just because of what the last, I don't know, 10 years or so of my life have looked like. I was married for a portion of that, and in that marriage, we had really gotten to a point where we weren't really physically intimate with each other for a considerable amount of time. And then I got out of that marriage and decided to, just stay by myself. I had one little, I don't know what you want to call it, rendezvous, whatever. Now, what Jada Pinkett call it? Entanglement. Yeah, I had an entanglement real quick. And then outside of the entanglement, I went like another like 5 years, pretty much, you know, with that. And I found a lot of life just works differently, especially as a dude when you're not constantly in the pursuit of that. Like there's a lot of pressure that's taken off. I got a lot of time to do other stuff. So I'm in a relationship now, and sex plays a major role in that. But I don't know. I think I have reached a space where it's not nearly as important to me as I see it as important to everyone else. Like I hear people talk about the things they trade for sex and what they willing to do and the links they willing to go to in pursuit of it.
Okay,
Nah.
so
Could I be in a relationship and I thought the sex was bad or missing? Probably not.
okay. So that better answers my question because my question was strictly about being in a relationship. So in a relationship, you want a healthy, you know, set of relation time, I guess, so to speak. So if that's the case, explain to me what it feels like or what it looks like to keep you satisfied in a relationship. Like how often do you think, and let's make it relative to saying that this is a person you live with, because it's different when you don't live with a person and maybe don't see them every day. But if you're living with your person, you guys are in a committed relationship, how often do you want to have sex?
I don't know. I don't know that I have like a number or anything for that. Like I'm a very cerebral
How many
person,
days
TM, and the
in a week?
conversations that we've had, like I said, I don't know that I could put a number on that. Like me from conversations we've had outside of this podcast. Like everything to me is mental, and for me, it's a feeling. If I feel like you desire me in that arena, whatever amount of days it takes to make me feel that way is enough. Like I never wanted to be a situation where I'm getting sex because the person believes they owe it to me or they're obligated to do it or they belong to me, whatever it is. I don't want that. I want it because you want to give it to me or you want it from me, whatever it is. And so whatever amount of days or times it takes for me to feel like this is something that you want and you want from me and from me exclusively, then I'm good.
That's a very interesting answer. Wow. Well, first of all, I commend you because there's a lot of people out here doing pity and mercy and all that other stuff. I
I don't
You're
want
right.
it. You can keep it.
I mean, because it's got to be different if you do stuff like that. Like, and your heart's not really in it. It's got to be probably whack AF or easy to tell. And certain things probably don't work like they should. But so you seem to be pretty easy and pretty laid back with regards to I don't know. Your answers are. I don't know what to say next because your answers throw me off. I'm so used to hearing men be very specific every day, 3 times a day, and all this other crazy and sometimes super unrealistic type of stuff. But for me, if I sit and I answer these
But I mean,
questions for me, I've never been in a relationship with someone who the first time I saw them, I thought that they were fine or sexy or so cute I had to have them. I'm not moved in that way. I'm a lot like you in what you said, but I take it even further. Like I have, and there are dudes who later on when I realized I liked them, I was like, he fine as hell. Or he's extremely sexy. How did I miss this? But I'm very much that person. It's about your personality. If you can make me laugh, if we can talk about anything, and all of my serious relationships that were like relationships, not we went on a few dates, relationships, I knew these people for years. We either were classmates or we were coworkers or we were friends for quite some time. I just don't know the life of dating randos. And so one day I just wake up and because I'm very traditional in that way, so the man is definitely going to approach me, and one day I just wake up and I'm like, yes, that he is every single thing I'm looking for, which is why I also don't have a type. Like if you look at my exes, I none of them are the same height or build or even the skin complexion or wear their hair the same, or some have facial hair, some don't. Like they're not similar because I am about the intelligence, the conversation, the comedy or the humor, the sense of humor for me. And when it comes to whether or not sex is important in a relationship, I think for me being in my 40s, we all know that thing that they say about women in their 40s. Um, keeping in mind that loyalty, me being able to trust him. See, I don't even like to use those things because I would never be in a relationship with someone who wasn't meeting all those other things: trust, loyalty, honesty, all that stuff. So because we know he has those things, because I wouldn't be with him if he did not, then sex is probably the most important thing in a relationship with me. I was in a relationship where I hated it. I didn't enjoy it at all. And when you're in something like that for as long as I was in it, you develop a new appreciation for that level of intimacy, especially when it's good or when it's great. It becomes a necessity, like water and food and shelter. I know that sounds crazy, but that's how it feels to me. Sometimes the hormones are just so outrageous that it feels to me like I don't want to take another breath if this is not something I can get to. And so I don't think it'll always be that way. This is just something that I'm going through right now as a woman in her 40s, but I could never be in a situation where I was not completely satisfied in that arena. And again, the other common stuff had to be there before we were ever together, which is why I can so strongly say this. I have all the other boxes checked. This is the one that I need to be continuous as often as possible, as much as I can take physically. That's how much I want it.
I got you. I mean, yeah, I got you. Yeah, it's I mean, and you know me from other conversations that we've had. Like when it comes to sex, like I think I describe myself as a sport fucker. Like I'm in it. I get more out of what I can provide to someone else than I get from what I'm taking from the act. So again, like if I know that I'm pleasing you in that way or you're satisfied in that way, and like I said, you want it and you want it from me, then I'm good. I don't really have a like that's the ultimate pleasure you could give me. So, I'm assuming we're gonna be it's gonna happen at least on a somewhat regular basis because you want it and it's being done to your liking. But yeah, as far as like it got to be every day or whatever, nah,
I think
we'll
most
play
women
it
are
by
going to
ear.
love your
We'll
answer
figure it
because
out.
it is a lot to try to live up to like I said, when these fools are out here talking about every day, 3 times a day, it's crazy. That's why I have to put the caveat as much as I can physically handle. Eventually, she gonna swell shut. You don't chill out. And please don't ever in your life around me call yourself a sports. What you just said, that is wild. I don't even understand. I don't. We're not. I can't.
I
Yeah,
am who
but I
I
mean,
am.
I think there's a way. I don't know. I would try to say that whatever.
I'm trying
What
to put numbers on the. I'm trying
say?
to put
Okay,
numbers on the board.
that's
I don't know how you want me to
great.
say it.
That was great.
Same
The
thing.
other one was a bit like I was shocked. I was stunned. I didn't know where to go from there. And then when you say that, somebody might be confused. So basically, you're saying you do it for sport, like you do it for fun, to put numbers on the board, to be the best. I guess is what you
To
to
break
break right.
records,
All
all that good
right
stuff.
then.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to
Okay.
do.
So I think that these are the types of conversations that people should be having, guys. I've said this 1,000 times before if you've been listening to this podcast. I believe in being as open and honest with someone during the dating stages as possible. And I think that if you're the type of person who has a need in this arena, that you should say that. That even goes with the physical part. That's why I said attraction slash sex or sex slash attraction. If you're the type of man who knows you want to have kids, but you have a caveat to your woman that she has to lose that baby weight. I mean, there are things out here that you should be talking to people about. If you're attracted to a certain person, a certain type, make sure that that is known because you don't want to play with people. You don't want to waste people's time and you don't want to allow people to think that they have leeway. If you say, like with you just said what you said. You could get with a woman or your woman, that you know, I don't mean to be disrespectful. The woman that you with could decide that she just wants it, once a week. You know what I'm saying? And the answer that you gave would have her feel like that would be okay because you're just like, well, whenever you want it. So I think it's kind of your answer could be a little dangerous, but if you do it like you say you do it, then she, probably won't hit you with
I didn't say anything. I told you what I'm trying to do, what I aim to do. I ain't make no claims. Don't put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby.
that. Okay, yeah, you have your inbox on swole about here. So The next question I want to talk to you about, because we actually went through that one really quickly, because as usual, it's just easy to ask you questions and you always have answers that I don't even know how to, like, what room does that leave for me to dive any deeper? You said what you said, and so it's like on to the next. But I want to jump over to closure. I know these are two very stark, very different subjects, but I don't think that either one of these on their own are going to fill up like a 30-minute conversation. Maybe closure could, but I feel like these two were the easiest for me to combine out of the list of things that we have to talk about. So, how important, and this is, I'm going to keep this specific to relationships because, again, when you start opening it up to any and everything, you could talk for days about it. How important is closure to you when ending a relationship or a marriage?
That's a good question. I want to say it's not. You know, like usually by the time I'm in a relationship and that relationship is ending, I'm not gonna have much stock in anything that you say to me at that point at all. So if there's something I want to know, I probably don't trust your answer. Or if there's something, it's just not worth it. Like I would like to, and in every situation other than my ex-wife, we stopped dating. I haven't spoken to these people ever again in life. Like it's there's gonna be a time period where it hurts and stuff reminds me of you and all that good stuff, and then eventually I forget that you exist, and I just look forward to that time. But in this situation, because I have a child, I have to continue to maintain a relationship with someone. But that was my closure. I just I know I get in trouble whenever I claim a Sagittarius trait, but I tell people all the time I have a toilet paper list, and if you end up on that list, I could wipe my ass with you. Like
Wow.
that's how I feel about you. You could no longer
The
exist.
things that come out of your
You could
filthy
really
little mouth,
no longer
sir. My
exist.
goodness.
I gotta talk about it the way I see it, tell the world the way I see it.
So if you found out that, because I'm definitely not talking about your ex-wife in real life, but I don't know the ins and outs of that whole situation. But if you were in a marriage and you found out that your wife was cheating on you, would you end the marriage?
I would like to think that. I would like to think
Okay.
that I would.
So let's
Like,
just say that you would, hypothetically, in a
that's
situation.
okay.
You wouldn't want to know why or how. You wouldn't want to ask any questions and say, like, do you feel like I wasn't providing? Like, you just would be okay with knowing that she was cheating and walking away. That wouldn't gnaw or eat at you, not understanding where you went wrong. You could even utilize that information as a
Yeah.
learning experience to maybe not do it in the next, relationship if she has valid points.
Again, we're talking about someone that cheated on me, that probably spent a considerable amount of time lying to me. At this point, what you have to say to me has no value, and I'm going to spend more time probably dissecting your answers and letting those things gnaw at me, and like to me, that conversation wouldn't be closure. That would just be opening up more conversations, and it's just like the best thing that I can do is it happened. She, whatever it was about me, wasn't enough for her. She did what she did. I'd like to, like I said, I'm that person. What is the Babyface had that whole song? When can I see you again? But he said something like, when does the pain stop? Like that's whenever I'm in a breakup, that's all I'm thinking. If I just weather the storm, this is gonna hurt. It sucks. And if I just weather the storm, there'll come a point I'll wake up one day and forget that any of this was ever a thing. And I just look forward to that day. But trying to have conversations with people, especially people who've done you wrong, it's not fruitful for me.
I love
For me. For other people, I'm
I love
sure it
your
is.
outlook on this, and I wish I had adopted or come up with or accepted this type of mentality, because for me, closure is a big thing in any kind of relationship. But since we're speaking specifically to like relationships with lovers, I've never had anybody break up with me. So I am usually the one that is giving someone closure. But even in that situation, I am tr- trying to also get closure from them. Like, I gave you this, this, and this. I was this for you. As I'm telling you, this relationship is over. You're explaining to me all that you've learned from me, how much you really want me. So my question is, why weren't you doing those things, saying these things, and treating me accordingly to what you how you say you feel about me now that I'm telling you I'm leaving? Or that I want you to pack up and get out. So I do like a nice resolute end to a relationship where we are both allowed to say what we're feeling, what we were missing, what we needed. Because I had an ex that I ran into at the store. I think I told you, I said this on one of the podcasts that we both were panelists on many times before. Um, I ran into an ex and he was with his wife. And when he saw me at the store, he walked up to me, gave me a hug, introduced me to her. She and I hugged, and he was like, this is who I learned that cabbage recipe you like so much. And I was like, yeah, that's my granny's recipe. And we laughed about that. But he was like, this is the woman that made me the man that you love today. Like, and she was like, she
That's
was like,
wild.
thank you very much. And we laughed about that. To me, it was shocking. It was such a great compliment. At the same time, I think I wanted to punch him in the throat a little bit, because it's like, okay, thank you for saying that I was that good for you, but I remember how crappy you were for me. So I can't all the way fully take that as a compliment, but I am happy that she looked happy, they seemed happy that you learned how to be a better man for someone else. Stings a bit, but at the same time, because I am where I am today, I'm super cool with that. But those are the type of relationships I like to have. I don't have an ex that hasn't tried to come back, not one. And so that also speaks well for me as how I am as a woman. But the other important thing for me is to make sure that they have closure. I need you to understand why I don't spend the block. I need you to understand why I'm not going to spend the block. I need you to understand why this ended, because I'm hoping actually that you don't put the next woman through this. And especially in situations where I was done, like there were two specific relationships. One was a marriage, the other one was whatever, where I was just like, explain your actions to me. I need it. I need it. And if you've never done anything else good for me or by me, you haven't done right by me. So just give me that. And I think that sometimes people say hurtful and mean things that, because they've already begged to get back with you 1,000 times, they just on BS. So that within itself can be the closure for you as well. That you're not going to get an honest answer from this hurt person, because all they want to do is continue to hurt you. But I have to at least try. I do want to say that I have recently learned that closure can be dangerous. I dealt with someone who there was a lot of unresolved stuff. The way that I just quickly and abruptly stopped all contact was different. And the way he hounded me and came after me was something that I couldn't make sense of, because he didn't act like someone who wanted to keep me. And because I needed closure when he called, um, and made the effort from calling me from a number that I didn't even know, and wanted to talk and finally answer my questions and apologize. That apology that I felt like I so needed. That was how he roped me into the conversation. He said everything I had ever wanted him to, what I wanted to hear from him, everything that I knew I deserved in an apology. And I thought, this is great. You know what I'm saying? Because I might run into this person. We have mutual friends. This is great. I have closure. And then the next thing I know, oh, that conversation where I was just there to get closure, in his mind turned into, I might still be able to get her back. Now it's time for me to start calling and trying to text and inviting her to come over and do all this other stuff. And to me, I'm like, oh God, what have I gotten myself into? You know? And I have to sit back and go, was it worth it? Was your need for closure worth having this, person on the brink of like some kind of psychotic break and extreme obsession back in your life, for that apology that you needed? Like but it did make me feel better. I felt like, okay, he actually does recognize everything that I did. He actually does understand the type of woman that I am. Maybe that's because my track record has been stellar, again, and not being the crappy person in the relationship. Maybe I just needed to hear that. But at what cost? So again, I wish I could adopt your mentality about that. I wish many people had everybody actually had your mentality about that. Cause you're right. Wait, I don't know. I don't know if I distrust the person so much when I'm asking them specific questions like, why did you do this to me? Like, why?
And then I mean, the other thing is like, what's the usefulness in that information? Like, if I know why you did it, it don't change that you did it. It don't change that we're not, especially if I know I'm not making a different choice in whether or not we're together or not. Like, we're not gonna be together again. I'm gonna understand why you did it, and we're still gonna be
Because you
separate. It
won't
still
do it to the
happened.
next
I'm
woman.
still hurt.
Like, what if she comes to you and she says,
I don't give a rat's ass
no,
what you
no, no,
do to the
no,
next
I'm
nigga. Like,
talking about
enjoy
you.
yourself.
So if, let's just say hypothetically in this situation with no disrespect to anybody else, you and I are in a relationship and I would, let's say you cheat on me because I don't do no cheating, not even in hypothetical situations. So let's say you cheat on me and I find out. I am going to ask you why you cheated on me. Like, what, we had this relationship or we had this marriage. I loved you with everything I had. Why did you do this to me? And if you come back to me and you say, how many hours do you work a day? And I'm doing like 16 to 18 hours a day. How often do I see you? When is the last time you made love to me? And I'm thinking, and I'm like, Father's Day, and it's December. So you may really not be paying attention to how neglectful you've been or how distant you've been, or how many of your duties as a woman or a man you have not been upholding. And that information helps because then now you and I are definitely over. We get a divorce. I take the time to heal. And when I go and I move on to the next relationship, I am paying attention to the fact, or how many hours I'm working, how much I'm not with him, making sure that I am making love to him, making sure that I am making time for him because I didn't do it the first time. See, to me, getting that type of information, or even if it wasn't so drastic, what if, I was married to somebody who was jealous of the time I spent podcasting? And they couldn't deal with that. And that was always strife. And then they decided to move on or do whatever. Or if I met somebody or if I was with somebody who thought I took too much time being a mom. Like once we had kids, he thought, oh, you forgot about me as a lover. You forgot about me as a mate. It's all about the kids now. Give me constructive criticism. Tell me where I messed up. Because what I don't want to do is ever feel this way again. You weren't man enough to tell me you weren't happy and you cheated on me. So you don't deserve me. I deserve the conversation. I deserve to be told these things before you stepped out, but you didn't do that. So when I move on to the next relationship, maybe I find somebody who also likes to podcast. Maybe I find somebody who, is the same crazy way I am about my kids, about their kids. So we can share in the joy of parenting. And, maybe I find somebody who works a lot like me. So it's a fun game for us to schedule time or make time. Something. I have information to move off of and not make the same mistake. That's what it would do for me.
Yeah, my mistake is being in a relationship with them. I'm good on the rest of it. I don't need their opinion on the rest of it.
I can understand that. I can understand that. But I will say be careful in looking for closure. Sometimes it invites unwanted attention. And sometimes, like you said, it's not beneficial. It will lead you down a dark path of questioning all of your decisions, whether or not you're a good woman or a good maid or a good mother or what have you. You do leave yourself open for a person to screw you over one last time if that's their goal. And you want to protect yourself.
I do think it's I do think it's one of those things where again you have to be very honest with yourself about your intentions. What when you say you're seeking closure, what is it that you're actually seeking? Are you seeking an apology? Because what happens if you don't get the apology? Are you going to feel like you didn't get closure and you got to continue this search? Are you going to hound this situation until you get the apology? Do you just want to hear somebody say they're sorry? Like what is it that you're actually looking for? What are you trying to accomplish? Do you want a specific answer, or are you going to be able to accept whatever answer they give you? Like, I think some people go into these situations saying, I want closure, but they really wanted an apology, or they really wanted the person to fight to get them back, or they really wanted, we just got to be honest with ourselves about that. I think we use the word closure just as a reason to entertain something one last time, or just you know, get close to something one last time, and sometimes that could be
Yeah, I think
dangerous.
I call bullshit on that. I don't think most people that's what they're trying to do. Because if that's the case, you're gonna be on other stuff too. It's not gonna be a conversation you're willing to have. Like I said, for me, I blocked from all things, and this person called me from other numbers. So for me, I think it wasn't about wanting to revisit something for the last time. I wasn't seeking the closure. When the phone call was made from a different number and I answered and they said, "Look, I just want to talk to you. I know how important closure is to you." Because this person knew me. They'd heard me have these conversations a thousand times before. I want to give you some closure and I owe you an apology. First thing right out the bat. So now I am listening. I am listening, but I wasn't actively seeking the closure. It fell at my feet. And there wasn't one more. Now, I think for him, it was another chance to try to get close. And I think it was another chance to try to entertain. But I was already entertaining and moved on and deeply in love. So that didn't matter for me, whatever his wants and desires were. But I really did feel like I was owed that apology. Because when I say the levels of things I did for this person, their entire life was elevated from because of me and the things that I did. And why I had to end things and how I had to do it was 100% his fault. So I did feel like, man, why would somebody just be so dirty? You know what I'm saying? And then to get that apology and have him say everything he should have said to me, every apologize for every single specific thing he did and said in that moment was the dopest thing that that person ever did as long as they've been on this earth, in my opinion. And so it gave me closure that I hadn't asked for, but it found me. And then I was able to move on. I don't think that most people who are truly looking for closure are trying to do some other BS. I think that somebody might give that weak excuse and say it's what they're looking for when they know they're on a different type of time. But I mean people who are actually looking for closure, like a way to end things fine in a finite manner, but also gaining the information, maybe respect and maybe apology that they deserve. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You just got to go into it knowing that you might not
I don't know.
get that.
Yeah, you might not get. And that, I don't know. Yeah, even the whole idea of an apology that I deserve. Like, I mean, like you said, you may not get it. So what does deserving it have to do with
I mean, if
anything?
it's offered to you, I
Like
think it's
that's
dangerous if you go looking for it. But if it's offered to you,
that's all I'm saying. Like people need to, because this wasn't an indictment on you, TM. But I do think there are people out there who use this word closure, and they're not being honest with themselves. They may think that they're actually seeking closure, but they're not being honest with themselves about what they're trying to get, and that's why they get so disappointed with what they do receive, or it's not enough, or they keep moving because that wasn't what they were looking for in the first place.
I can agree with that. Again, I'm only speaking to those who know exactly what they're looking for. And at the same time, just how do you learn? Like I guess I'm just an inquisitive person. And because I pride myself on being a good woman. I want to know what type of psychedelic drugs you were on when you decided to mess me over. I want to know why on this earth, God's green earth, on Al Gore's internet, you thought it was a good idea to disrespect me or to cheat on me or to do me wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be in that situation again. And I noticed that for me, I don't need closure in ending, you know, certain relationships and certain things depending on the how egregious the act was. It's like I don't care. But when I know I was good to a person and I am at no fault, it really, at least back then, it just was like, why? I want to know why. Even if you would turn around and say, because I really never cared about you. Okay. I have the why now. And now it's time for me to go and heal from that and deal with that. But it just still meant something to me to find out. And I would be curious to know how many people out there listening need closure. I'll probably make that a poll when I post one of the reels for this. But I want to know how many people think that having closure when ending a marriage or a relationship is a necessity or better because you sometimes you can't get it, you have no control over that. But I would be interested to find out the numbers of people who would desire closure versus people who do not care.
Yeah, the closure to me is that it's over. It's over. You sure? It's over. Over. All right.
I can see that.
Take care of yourself. Be safe out there.
I could see that from you. Well, this was a very interesting conversation. I say this, I feel like I say this every week, but you're such an interesting person to talk to. This was why I wanted you to be my co host. I don't think, most times, I don't think I'm ever ready for the answer that you give. And I have to be really quick on my feet to figure out how to guide the conversation because I expect so much more of what I've already heard. You give me something else and it cuts out the other 20 questions I could ask that could have carried this conversation on for 30 minutes or an hour. So thanks for being difficult in all things that you do. I appreciate you.
I am the way I
That
am.
is the truth. All right, guys, thanks for listening again to this week's episode. As always, we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode. And until then, be good to yourself and be kind to others. Holla.
Holla.